Freshwater Quality Committee. I welcome all of you today and anyone watching. The first item on the agenda, we've been asked to comment on the section for natural resources in the 2006 Orleans Comprehensive Plan. Essentially, we're being asked to review the goals and policies, determine which are still relevant or related to what we do, which can be removed, and any new goals that maybe should be on there that are not. And if there's a goal that's not relevant to our committee, we should ignore it. And this will be on our agenda again next month, but I at least thought we could start to discuss it today. I believe they want comments by the end of next month, so we'll be meeting again.
Yeah. We won't have much time.
We won't have much time, which is why I
It's
wanted...
due the 31st, isn't it?
Yeah, which is why I wanted to at least start the discussion. There also may be other items in the comprehensive plan which I have not looked at. We were only sent natural resources, but sometimes there are some other areas which, when I have time, I will look at. So I'm not sure if any of you had a chance to poke your head in there and look at it.
So just looking at this quickly, right on the first page, what jumped off the page to me is, in order to limit phosphorus inputs, no subsurface disposal system shall be permitted within 300 feet of mean high water or freshwater ponds.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's not true. I mean, Board of Health is basically,
Yeah.
they regulate at 100 feet. And as long as it's more than 100 feet, they're good to go. So this somehow never got translated into Board of Health regulations. Now,
Right.
it's clear, and it goes on to say that where that's not possible, then as far as possible. And in fact, that we do have new systems that go onto properties that are within 100 feet, because there's just no other choice. The property line is over before the 100 feet, so it has to. But this should be, instead of the Board of Health regulating at 100 feet, it should be regulating at 300 feet, if this is in
Right.
fact what's in the comprehensive plan.
I would think that Board of Health is also reviewing this, and I would think that Wastewater Management Advisory Committee would be reviewing this.
Yeah, but neither they nor we have any jurisdiction over septic systems. That is 100% within the purview of Board of Health.
Right.
They are they're the ones that have got to change their regulations. I mean, this is also the Conservation Commission, but we only
Yeah.
back the Board of Health regulations to say, nothing within 100. So, yeah, I totally agree and concur, it should be 300, but that never got translated,
Right.
so it should. And I will raise it to Conscom as well.
I mean, and just looking at some of the wording, and I need to find the appropriate wording, but when it talks about surface water standards, again, the focus really is more marine, even though they put fresh in here, but surface water standards should be set to ensure a suitable habitat for the protection and propagation of desirable fish, shellfish, et cetera. They need to, we need to suggest, or they need to add something about freshwater ponds.
Well, I think we
Yeah.
do that through our management plans. I mean, Ed
Well-
basically comes back to us and says, looking to establish no more than 10 for phosphorus, and that's what our management plans direct to.
Right, so under policies, I said develop management plans for primary freshwater lakes and ponds, because there's no mention of management plans in there. There's not really anything that specifically says water quality monitoring either, so,
So
It
I
just,
think that this is the
in the
policy.
end, it says, the town shall regularly monitor the health of local surface waters.
Yeah, what is that?
But it doesn't
Yeah, so-
say,
right,
So this would be the
specific for
policy. The
monitoring.
procedure would
Yeah.
be what is going to be done in order to
Right.
ensure that, which is the management plans, the regular testing, the whatever.
and when they say surface water standards should be set, I think they should say something about state, federal, and eco-region standards. There are some cases there isn't an exact standard set for freshwater ponds, but there's an eco-region, recommended eco-region number.
So, but I don't think you want that specificity in the comprehensive plan, Judy. I think that's, what they're saying is, as a policy, the town needs to establish this and carry this out. But I don't know that we want a value. I mean, maybe we do in the
We don't
comprehensive
set
plan.
water quality standards, it's a
No,
regulatory.
we don't. So, I mean, this is saying we should.
Right.
I think as long as it says that we should, then we need to be looking to what those state, county, federal
Yeah.
standards may be. Yeah,
Right, I just,
but I don't know that I would revise the comprehensive plan. I mean, this sucker gets reviewed about every 25 years,
see
whether it's
that,
needed or
yes.
not, so.
there's also nothing about the protection of our diadromous fish runs, which I think is important to include, or rare endangered species habitat.
I have a question about that, Judy. I was going to say the same thing. Part of me would like it to reference the Natural Heritage
Yeah.
Endangered Species Program,
Yeah.
which is the Concom works to help
Right.
identify those enduring projects and endangered, threatened, and special concern species. But is this only supposed to reference town authority, not state? Or I'm not that familiar with how the planning process works here.
Well, I mean, I think this is sort of a roadmap
Generic.
for the town to follow.
Yeah, I
So-
think it's sort of the roadmap that says this is what the town of Orleans sets as its priorities and its goals in the area of natural resources. But yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it's a great idea to include protection of endangered species.
And
Yeah, I mean-
diadromous fish runs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. I wrote all over here, herring runs.
And I didn't notice anything about prevention of invasive species, which I think would be,
Right, of course, we're
Worthwhile.
water quality, but
Just-
yes, I'm hoping,
Critical fish runs.
I
Important.
just said encatadromous.
well, I think.
Well, we want the eels, too.
Diadromous takes into all that, it covers that, I believe, both,
Oh, it does? Okay,
I believe.
okay.
Yeah, I've written that in several places, add something about protect and restore our historical diadromous fish runs. I also look at things like, instead of saying should, it should be shall.
Yeah.
But it's like,
there's a lot of things that should.
there was a policy on no new direct untreated stormwater discharges. I don't see anything about remediating existing stormwater discharges that are directly discharging.
Right.
I mean, like you, I took a first pass at it. I didn't go into every, I'm sure we're not being asked to rewrite it, but you can't help it since it's so old and it needs to be updated because we know so much more now than we did in 2006. So, what was it on page 3? Wetland, wildlife, plant habitat goals, again, I made a note about, like, Atlantic white cedar swamps, and, special habitats like our coastal plain ponds that have Plymouth gentian and other rare or endangered species. And last page, untreated stormwater, the second bullet, untreated stormwater should not be discharged directly into natural wetlands. I felt it should also say salt marshes and water bodies. It's just on,
They are wetlands. They are part of the Wetlands Protection Act.
yes, but
Dunes, beaches, marshes.
I
fresh.
always differentiate, I know they're all wetlands, but they're also different ecosystems. Development should be prohibited in vernal pools. What does that mean, that last bullet? I was like,
So,
what is, the word "in"? It's like,
so
One would hope.
the Conservation Commission protects 100 feet around the edge of a vernal pool as the same as they would a resource area. because, as
Right.
opposed to a buffer zone, because those little critters are so on the move that it's basically the same thing as the vernal pool. So rather than being a 100-foot buffer, it's treated more like a 100-foot resource area. So that's where it's, so if somebody wants to put a pool, a house, a shed within 100 of a freshwater pond, they're going to be able to. That's not prohibited under conservation regulations. If they want to do that within 100 feet to the edge of a vernal pool, they're not going to be able to, because it's considered as a resource area. That's the difference.
I vaguely remember some 300-foot figure related to vernal pools. Was that something that had been suggested at some point, or?
Maybe, what I had heard with the 300 feet was the septic systems. I don't believe I had heard that with
It's a
vernal
long
pools.
time
But it's a long time ago. It may well be that the Cape Cod Commission was recommending
Could have
300
been.
feet on both.
Because I remember thinking it is more stringent because a vernal pool is so unique and fragile.
Sorry to,
No, go ahead.
I just, in looking at this, the coastal resource goals, they have, protection of a lot of the DEP, I think CZM, the V zones, and the areas that are not, areas that it's not, development should be discouraged or built in a different, more protective way. I wonder if this is a high-level policy document, maybe just make some reference to, climate change and continuing to look at, where these areas are and revising regs with, I'm not articulating this well, but somehow set a goal of continuing to examine the effects of climate change in our area and to make necessary changes in our regulations to accommodate to how things are changing.
So the Conservation Commission has just started the process of looking at all of our regulations.
Great.
And there is part of that, an interest in adding or expanding regulations to look at sea level rise, climate change, putting in more.
Excellent.
That's going to be a big process and
Right.
a rolled-out process
Right.
that will take time, but it
But it'd
will
be good if the
involve other
policies
committees
sort
as
of
well.
Support that on the
Yes.
higher level,
Yes.
So circling back to things that directly affect what our committee does with water quality monitoring and everything, certainly the addition of our management plans, and I don't know if we want to say more about the monitoring it than specify that it's water quality monitoring. It doesn't actually say that. They talk about phosphorus inputs. Do we refer to it as mean high water for a freshwater pond? No, I didn't think so.
Well,
To me,
yeah.
that's title, but
so it's not a term that's used frequently, but it is used because, of course, our freshwater ponds vary
or they fluctuate.
almost as much as tidal ponds do, just not with the frequency.
Correct.
But yes, when they're flagging the edge of water to be able to then flag the vegetated buffer, they do speak to and talk about mean high water of a pond.
I wondered if
As
there
I
was
say,
another
it
term.
can go from there down to
Oh,
there.
I know that fluctuates with groundwater.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the term that's used, whether it's because the surveyors are typically used to doing mean high water for estuaries, or whether that's just a term that's come into practice. That is typically what's referenced.
Okay.
It certainly doesn't have the same connotation as,
No.
Title.
There might be another
There it is.
term that's used.
No,
I-
there's no title. No, of course not.
so it seems sort of strange to use the same term for two different things.
There might be one that's used more for, I can look for that, but it struck me as a little bit. I see Valerie is with us on Zoom. Hi, Valerie. Welcome back.
There, let me unmute myself. Hello?
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you.
For the next available representative.
So,
Nobody else on?
I don't think there's anyone else. Like, I know that Ed Hafner is away. I don't see
So
Carol.
as far as next steps on this,
Yep.
could we circulate, we have to do it, in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Circulate, maybe we can make a draft of this electronically, OCR it or something. I can try and do that. Or, do you have this in Word? How did you,
No,
And I just
copied it.
printed out from what
It's on the
Oh,
town
Vinnie
website.
provided.
from the whole document?
But I sent it to all of
Did you
you.
send this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Quite a while ago, though, that's why you don't remember.
Was it sent in Word?
It's however George sent it to me, and I,
Oh,
Okay.
I can't
I would
recall. I
imagine
think
it's
it
going
might
to be a
be
PDF.
PDF.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're not
so-
going to send a
Yeah.
document that can
No, I
rewrite.
didn't want you to.
So, all right, so I can look at that. I think I can change this into a Word document. And then if we were to, I know we can't do it collectively, but if we were to then put in our comments and make the changes using track changes, does it make sense then to send it to each member and give them a couple days to do this? And then we come back at the next meeting, look at everyone's recommendations, or even share them prior to that, and then we can, because you're only going to have till May 31st to put in
Right.
recommendations for changes. Plus, they were asking also in here for,
I did not print
Almost like
that
a-
out.
almost like a
That's the slideshow,
report.
right?
Yeah, I just used the ink. But we have to really go back over, I guess, and identify our goals and objectives that have been met, have not fully been met, that are relevant, unattainable, or outdated, and any new goals that we might have. This is on page 13 of the Future of Orleans PDF. I guess it was a PowerPoint that was sent out. So in addition to this, which, and are there other sections of that that apply to us?
Well, there may be, that's what I was
I
saying.
guess we're
that-
environment, right?
But I
according to-
also do want to look at the complete comprehensive plan and just see if there's anything else.
Yeah,
I know there was another committee that got just this section, but said there was another section or two where their work applied, so,
because it was interesting, the example they gave in planning terms was the sewer system,
yeah.
removing nitrogen. So it was actually one of ours, and they called it Healthy Ecosystem, Clean Up Marine and Freshwater. So they've got a vision, a goal, an objective, strategy. I don't know if we ever put ours into that format.
Yeah, I don't,
In other words, visions we had for our ponds, right? Or visions we had
Right.
for our,
Do we have that in a written document that we're working off of? I don't.
oh, that we're working off of?
You just have the charge for the committee.
We just have the charge.
I mean, there are water quality standards or eco-region, recommended eco-region standards. Some things are set by Fed, state, it depends on what it
I
is.
have that all on one piece of paper.
Yeah, a cheat sheet of guidelines. But that drives, the monitoring and the results and what we are looking at, when it says for cold water fishery versus marine or whatever, with your dissolved oxygen levels shouldn't be below a certain amount. We do have certain numbers or certain
Right.
standards that we know.
It might, this is a bit of a project, I hate to say it, but it might be helpful to just, list our goals over whatever the time frame is, and just have links to those standards that we're
Right.
trying to,
Yeah,
is that what they're asking us to do?
I'm not sure, well, they're
I think so.
asking us to review the goals and the policies and determine which ones are still relevant, which can be removed, and any new goals. So,
I
it's
think they're
really-
all still relevant. I didn't see anything in here that, going through it even quickly, that I would say, oh, we can get rid of this one. I think these are all good to stay. To my mind, it would just be, what do we want to add?
right,
Where things have not been included,
I
they
mean,
should be included.
one I had a question about was education also, you know, as far as getting information out.
Good point.
And we, of course, as a committee, we have that on as a goal moving forward, and there's no mention of that. And, you know, I would think that in the comprehensive plan, there would be something like that that would be beneficial to have as a goal.
Well, sewers are not front and center in this. Septic systems are.
Right.
So I think that whole,
Right,
definite shift of focus.
right. But a lot of what
Good
they're
point.
doing with sewer systems is all based on the water quality monitoring and
Right.
the health of our water, so.
So where's the list of specifically of our goals and objectives for this committee? Is it only in that?
We don't have one, we have a charge.
We have a charge, and I
right?
sent, when I sent you this, I also sent you a screenshot of our charge
Yeah, I saw that.
to make it a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah,
I can
it's
resend
very
that if you'd like.
generic.
Yeah, I found a PDF. I think it's the same charge. I don't see it
Yeah.
dated,
Is
but
there
it
a
looked pretty
revision?
similar.
That's
Dave?
off the, yes, that's off the town website, I think.
Yeah, if it's on the town website, that would be the most recent version.
Yeah, this was approved 2017.
Yes, I
5/8,
believe that's the most
2017.
current one. Yeah.
Okay, so check charge.
So where I fall flat is how to word something about education and, you know, getting information out to the
Mhm.
public and all.
Yeah,
Someone who's more gifted with words.
Yeah, I just made a note on that first bullet, the town shall regularly monitor the health of local surface waters and provide readily accessible data, provide residents with readily accessible data and interpretation of the data, or something like that, you know, because it kind of, I look at this as an opportunity to accomplish what we've been,
Well, it also
Trying to
gives us
do-
then, we can say it's in the comprehensive plan, and this is
Yeah,
what
we gotta do it.
But it needs to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, you know, we're not just,
But I think it's beyond data. It's like interpretation, suggestions or recommendations about what you
Communication.
do with your property
right,
in terms of, you know, from fertilizers to you name it.
Yeah.
right. And of course, it involves multiple committees often when you do this, but,
Right. The whole public outreach.
Right.
Because we're notorious for not doing that.
oh, that's a good word. There you go. Public outreach. My brain is so,
I'm trying to figure out the most efficient way to make comments back to the goals and
Right.
natural. I wonder if all of us, after today, should reread this more carefully, send comments to some lucky soul that would be, and that person would figure out how to format them to transmit them to the town. Would that be an easier
I
way?
think that's what Rich was volunteering to
Okay.
do.
You're going to be that person. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did I misunderstand you, or did I just
Yes, you did.
volunteer you?
So I just don't know, you know, we tried this Google Docs thing and it doesn't seem to work because not everyone has. So I'm just thinking if we are, you know, careful about this and we say, all right, so here's the Word version. And when you do track changes, it pretty much sets who you are on it. And then I think if we all do that, we should come up with something. Now, the danger is that whoever goes first, they won't see the rest of the changes that come.
right.
But if Judy does hers first, then we get a lot of them
Yeah.
already. We may not even have
Sacrificial
to,
lamb.
well, that means I don't have to worry about some, because you've already done most of the ones that I might have done. It's just a thought, and then I'll take responsibility for every, let's say, well, I gotta work this out for dates. We only have a month, right?
Yeah,
A
no,
month,
that,
so
I
you
think
can
that's a
only
great
have it-
approach, Rich, if you're willing to do that. And if Judy's
Yeah.
willing to do that,
Only
that's
have it
great.
for 3 days or 4 days,
Sure.
and that's it. That would be the proposal. And then that way we don't, we just share, and then it comes back to me,
And you kind of
or.
make it
or,
all.
Yeah, or we can just, I can send out a list and say, here's who's got it. You send it to this person next as soon as you're done. That's another way, if you prefer that.
Either way.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I thank you for agreeing to kind of coordinate that mess of input. I know
Right,
we're not
yeah.
being expected to rewrite the damn thing,
And
but
if you want, I
sometimes
can
it's,
append the charge to the bottom of it, so you can edit that if you want. If you think that needs changing, at least it'll be in the same document.
What are you talking about?
We can't,
No, not
any changes to that go to the Board of
Back
Selectmen,
to the select board.
right? So it's a
I didn't know if you
different
wanted,
process.
we want to
Oh, yeah,
separate
I was
them.
going to say, who is heading all of this up? Is it the planning board?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thought.
Yeah.
So our charge is a,
So don't worry about that.
well, we could look at it and
Yeah.
see if it's still relevant,
Right.
but I think it's a
Well,
separate
I
process.
don't think our charge reflects the number of members anymore, but it, I mean, they increased us to 9 or whatever, so.
Well, you know what, I'll do it as a separate page. You can do nothing to it, or you can put a note in it, whatever.
Or we can do it after this process is over.
That's true.
Yeah.
One thing at a
All right, that's
time.
good.
Yeah, maybe do this first, because it's,
Yep.
All right, we'll do it afterwards.
And I
then.
will try to look at the rest of the comprehensive plan and just see if there's anything else there. We can also meet in between now and our end of the month meeting if people feel that they want to do that. So you can just let me know if you think you want to have another meeting, if we move,
Just to do that.
just to do that one thing. Are there any more comments right now on the first pass over the plan, or the natural resources section of the comprehensive plan? Hearing none, I thank you for your thoughtful comments, and I will move on to, Michael will be coming, but I know he's going to be delayed, so I'm going to skip over discussion of the pesticide home rule until Michael is physically here or Zooms in, if that's okay with everyone. Number 4 is to consider support for proposed Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries stronger protections for horseshoe crabs during their spawning season. And this is, I'm just going to pull it up here so I can try to describe it. There's been a call to action put out by, and I don't, this acronym, I'm not even sure what it's, the full acronym, what it stands for. NECWA, so New England
I think coastal waterways.
Coastal Waterways, okay.
I believe that's what it is.
And so they put something out, a call to action, write a letter,
Association?
attend a meeting to save the horseshoe crab. They sent a lot of, I sent that to you late last night, their letter. You know, the concern is that horseshoe crabs are being taken for bait or for the medical, for blood work, research, or, you know what I'm saying. My head is really full of, and one of the concerns is that the spawning season, that the state is considering making more stringent protections for horseshoe crabs during the time that they're spawning. And it goes on to say that their populations are in decline in the coastal waters of Massachusetts due to a number of factors: overharvesting by commercial bait for eel, conch, and whelk, loss of spawning habit due to sea level rise and armoring of our shorelines, and use by the biomedical industry for essential medical safety resources, LAL they call it. So then they go into a description of the different things. So, and then there were links to actually go to the Division of Marine Fisheries sites to see the actual proposed regulations. So really the question is whether you feel that as a committee, do we support this? And if so, do we want to write a letter of support that's officially from our committee and therefore would come out on the town of Orleans letterhead? Or do we want to address this as individuals? And it's open for discussion here.
Rich, I just want to note for the record, I'm a contractor for the State Division of Marine Fisheries. I'm going to recuse myself, not participate in this discussion.
Thank you, Mary.
Do we have jurisdiction in this, or an interested party, or how do we describe ourselves?
Well, we're water quality, but we're also ecological health of our estuaries and our freshwater ponds, and horseshoe crabs are part of that ecosystem. So we don't work directly with horseshoe crabs, but we don't work directly with clams either. So, I mean, but we want habitat healthy for these organisms.
So, yeah, I mean, I think this is really primarily the jurisdiction of the Shellfish and Waterways.
Right.
This is more what they're supposed
I
to
agree.
be jumping in and addressing and protecting. I think certainly as individuals, we're interested parties, and I don't think it would hurt, and I don't think we would be precluded from submitting a response as a committee. I don't know if it goes on town letterhead, I don't know if we can send a letter, or does that have to go to the select board for them to approve it,
Usually I just,
if we're speaking for the town?
we don't do it often, but sometimes we've written a letter of support, and I just run it through George.
Okay.
I guess it would depend on what the subject matter is, whether the select board needs to be part of that process. The select board could also look at this, and when I sent this out, I think I copied Michael, so if he wants to bring that to the select board for them
That your
to.
time is valuable, and we're making every effort to.
I don't know if you can see my hand. Can you hear me?
I could see your hand, but I also hear something else in the background. I mean, I
Okay.
couldn't see your hand, I'm sorry, Valerie, but go ahead.
That's okay. I would be in favor of us as on town letterhead supporting this. We have among the least, the fewest restrictions on horseshoe crabs on the East Coast. Massachusetts is just at the bottom of the heap in terms of regulating. And we also have, I think it's in Harwich, sometime within the last 2 years, they started companies started harvesting locally. So given the plight of this creature and given the fact that there is a connection to what we do, I think that a show of support would have more impact on our letter, coming from us as a group from the town of Orleans than it would be for us to reach out individually, and we can do both.
How long do we have for this? Did it say there?
End of May, was it?
May 1st.
May 1st.
Another one.
Monday.
Oh, yeah, submitted through May 1st, oh, my word.
It's really a complex issue. So we have our shellfish and waterways. I'm assuming there's going to be two sides to that coin too. You're going to have the fisherman side, the people that are collecting the bait, right? And then you're also going to have the trying to preserve the horseshoe crabs at the same time and the harvesting there. The Marine Fisheries has a meeting on May 1st, I think, but it's down in DC, I believe, where they've got some documents that they just put up on their website, and it's about 40 pages long on what they're doing in terms of regulation for these and what they're proposing. It's really complex. And the other complexity is that in the United States, they're still trying to establish equivalency between the recombinant forms that they would use in endotoxin testing versus the natural source. And things seem to be going very slowly. And there could be a number of reasons for that, which includes the showing of equivalency between the original methods, the natural derived reagent, and the artificial ones, or the ones that are being made recombinantly. And there's a company on Cape Cod located in Falmouth that actually is making their own recombinant. And then, as you mentioned, there is another company who makes reagents and stuff that opened what was supposed to be, my understanding, a research site on horseshoe crabs. And I don't know whether they're actually, what they're taking and what they're not taking. So anyway, if you needed any additional information and you think it's important, I could certainly get someone from that industry, the biomedical industry, to actually probably send a scientist in here to talk to us if you want. maybe I should talk to the shellfish people, too.
Time is a little short.
So,
To
I
yeah,
respond
think
to
as far
this.
as making
Time is-
comments,
time is very short.
I think this is really complicated.
It is.
And unless you really understand the possible impact on the biomedical side, it's
So
difficult.
I'm surprised to hear this, because I had always heard that there was a readily available
Alternative.
alternative.
Okay, so in Europe, in theory, at least one or multiple forms have been approved. But as far as I know, I don't believe any are approved in the United States at this point.
That's what this says.
Use. So until that happens, and again, it's all related to the medical agencies that are involved in agreeing to equivalency. And there's papers out there, some say that the recombinants aren't good, others say that the testing methods were not right. I think it's still somewhat up in the air.
I'd be interested.
Again, I'm all for,
What is,
I guess I would say, I wonder why those studies haven't been done, because this has been a hot topic of discussion for 20 years. And they're harvesting in Pleasant Bay, they have been forever.
absolutely.
One of the things that I could never understand is they have two separate fisheries and two separate quotas, and one is for the bait industry and one is for the medical research. But with a 10 to 40% mortality of those that are bled for medical research, or not research, but medical use, I could never understand why they didn't just combine those two and have the bait industry take the animals that were taken to be bled. I mean, why take two healthy populations, this number that are going to die for bait, and this number that are going to be bled, and then 40% are going to die when you put them back in the water?
Why not coordinate?
Why not coordinate? But in terms of this period of spawning, that to me is just a no-brainer.
Me too,
That's
yeah.
got to stop immediately, because it's not just the horseshoe crabs, but we're losing the red nuts.
Right, it's the birds
Because
that
it's,
need
it's the
eggs,
birds
too,
that are
yeah.
migrating that are reliant on those horseshoe eggs, and that whole population has just collapsed. So to be taking and killing animals for whatever purpose, that's completely screwing up the environment and the ecology of fish and bird, at this point in time, no. I mean, stop it. Take them the rest of the year if you have to, while you look at this further. But to your point, Rich, there may be some really valid arguments about it, but I would have to say that, again, why hasn't that been looked into for the last 20 years? I think if Europe is doing this,
The
US
question
can.
is there any strong proponent that's trying to push this forward through
No.
FDA or anything?
no, there
Probably
isn't.
isn't.
No.
So,
The people who are
They're
doing.
just going to argue we're all going to die anytime anyone raises protection, and aside from that, they're doing nothing towards trying to approve alternatives.
so Valerie, is that an old hand or a new hand that's up?
No, that's a new hand.
Okay.
And Judith said most of what I was wanted to say, but also this is they're making a lot of money off of this, right? It's money that's driving this. And again, I will say that Massachusetts has about the worst conservation laws on the East Coast for these creatures. So
Your call is important to us.
for any number of reasons, I'll go back to saying what I said before, that I think that as a group, we got to support this, but
Thank you for holding.
Th-
Someone will.
So I'll be happy to draft something up,
Right.
but it's going to have to move really fast, and the first phone call has to be to George to make sure that
Right.
it's okay for us to send this out.
Yes.
Because I just think that anything that goes out on letterhead for the town has to be cleared by the select board.
Walter North also has his hand up. Walter?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if you permit public comment on this issue.
I certainly will.
Yeah, the sex ratio currently of horseshoe crabs in Pleasant Bay is 9-to-1 male to female as a result of practice, according to research that's been conducted by Audubon. As Judith said, it's inexcusable that this is being during the spawning season. And the Division of Marine Fisheries, the proportion of harvest that actually goes for medical use is relatively small. They have been completely feckless in responding to the threat. The only reason that there's a robust industry in Nantucket Sound is for the whelking, and that's because of the protection at Monomoy. So I really strongly encourage you to weigh in on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for commenting, Walter.
It certainly seems within our purview of monitoring and protecting the marine environment. That
Well, Pleasant Bay, the ACEC, and I wonder how the Alliance, what they think about this. I'm hoping that they'll also see this.
Walter is our representative of the Alliance.
Right, right. And also, of course, Cape Cod Bay is an ACEC, and they're certainly there. So, yeah, I think it is appropriate. Judith, I think I heard you volunteer to draft something, and then I will see that it gets the right blessings that it needs.
Okay.
I do not think it's on the Shellfish and Waterways agenda for this month, therefore they will not be commenting in time, as far as I know. I did pass it on to somebody. But I don't,
Conservation Commission won't meet.
right,
We have site visits tomorrow. We don't have a hearing until a week from tomorrow, so
so,
is that.
Judith, I thank you for, short, sweet, to the point, and,
Yep.
yeah, thank you very much. Any other comments on this particular topic?
So comments would go to the Atlantic States Marine Fishery Commission? Is that what I'm seeing?
I'd have to look at the information I sent you to see where comments are supposed to be directed, whether it's Division of Marine
The
Fisheries.
Department of Marine Fisheries.
Department of Marine Fisheries? That's what I thought it said somewhere here, but, yep.
Yep.
On the state level? Okay.
Submit your comments to Director Dan McKiernan at marine.fish@mass.gov.
I do think the individual that used to be harvesting in Pleasant Bay passed away, and I'm not sure if somebody has taken over that role. Thank you again, Walter, for commenting. And Valerie, and anyone else that's going to add as we go through more. And Judith for volunteering. So the next item, again, I will continue to wait until Michael can be present for the home rule thing. Is our freshwater lake and pond spring sampling and any estuary monitoring updates. I do know that we just got an email from Carol Ridley with some proposed dates to meet to talk about the estuary monitoring, but no actual dates so far for the actual monitoring.
That's correct.
And
So she proposed this Friday or Monday or Tuesday next week, so it's coming soon.
yes,
Right, but
Right.
there's no word as to whether we'll have dates.
He usually comes to that meeting with dates.
All right, well,
let's hope.
he's out of town, so
Right.
we'll see. Hopefully returning.
But freshwater monitoring has been active in the last few weeks.
So freshwater pond sampling went just as smooth as glass up until
Oh, dear.
the second day, which was windy, very windy. And so everybody managed to get that done, except on Crystal Lake, unfortunately, the wind was so bad that it not only pushed the canoe across the lake, it dragged the sampling buoy with it.
Oh, dear.
So those samples could not be used, and we've been trying to reset the buoy and get the last sampling done ever since. And if anyone's been paying attention to the weather for the past week, we don't seem to get a day. I mean, this morning, I finally looked at it, and it was like, wind, 7 miles an hour, yes, I'm gone. Yeah, but I had to be here. So Mal and Steve Bornemeyer are doing their best to get that buoy reset, and if they can, they will as well do the actual monitoring and sampling. Ed Eichner said that delivery of the water to him any day this week, of course not Friday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was acceptable. It's just our last lake, and we've got, if it doesn't get done this week, then those results cannot be compared to other years. So this is this is really serious in terms of needing to get this done, but unfortunately, you know, it's just, I'm reasonably brave in a kayak because it's a low profile and it just doesn't tip that much. But you put a couple people in a canoe in strong winds and that thing is just going back and forth and you just can't get dumped into the water this time of year. It's just too dangerous.
No, volunteers should not risk their
So,
safety.
Which lake was this?
Crystal Lake.
Crystal Lake, so keep your fingers crossed.
The next 2 days in the mornings are supposed to be really low winds. So hopefully.
I don't know what the, yeah, as I say, I was not available this morning, and I'm not available tomorrow morning. Hopefully Mal and Steve can get out. I'm not going to be, either day, I'm not at all available at all today, but tomorrow not until the afternoon. So when we do that, hopefully then I can drive water on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't, if they do get the water today, I can't drive today, but Bob said he was available to take the water today.
If he
so-
can, I will, yeah. Well,
Okay, so hopefully,
the challenge is getting the samples and,
thank you all. Yeah, hopefully we'll get it done. It's very frustrating.
well, the goal is to, of course, collect water quality samples and do the direct reading monitoring pre-stratification before the ponds warm up and start to stratify. So that's, fortunately, we've had a cool spring, so hopefully we're still at pre-stratification, but
Well, and aside from the safety, I hate doing it in high wind because
No, it's not, I know.
it's a very bad result when you're looking at Seki also. When you've got strong chop on the water, you just don't get the good readings that you do on a nice calm day. The canoe or kayak spinning around the buoy also doesn't help in terms of getting good solid readings. So there are lots of reasons why we would love to have a nice calm day, but you know, we're out of days in April. And Ed basically said that if we got it this week, we're good. If it goes into next week, we're not. So,
okay, well.
all right, fingers crossed.
I thank everybody who's been out there collecting these samples. We did have a successful
Awesome job.
sampling of all the ponds except Crystal's just being a little bit, it's such a big lake with open area. A matter of fact, I don't know how poor Ed and Mike Brink did Pilgrim, but they managed to do it, so. And Baker, those are our challenging ones.
Team Baker.
Yeah, Team Baker.
They're all challenging in high wind.
We win on Monday,
get
I'm
on
glad.
Yeah. So I thank everyone for all they're doing. And I also thank Carolyn for pulling together a good portion of the equipment and all that and getting the kits
Yeah,
ready.
awesome job, Carolyn.
and,
That was great.
Yeah. Takes a village. So, item number 6, I put on here just because this is the County Freshwater Pond Initiative. I was surprised on the Monday, the 10th, when I got a text from Nate Sears saying, are you sampling our ponds, or is SMAS sampling our ponds with a Boston whaler on Pilgrim Lake? And I was like totally clueless on what that was about. And didn't know who it was. I kind of guessed who it might be. Apparently it was APCC, and it is part of that freshwater pond initiative, the county's initiative to do 50 lakes and ponds on the Cape. But they also had a list of ponds, Crystal, Pilgrim, and Rubens Pond. We were not involved in that discussion, and we're not sure why they picked Rubens of all, because we stopped monitoring that due to access issues, and plus the data hadn't changed significantly in many years. And
They have a professional advisory group that has, none of the towns were consulted, none of the committees were consulted, that apparently has advised them as to the protocol to be used, which ponds to be done. They're using no volunteer data, they're using no volunteer sample gatherers, they're using paid professionals only, and that was at the advice of their advisory group.
Do we have
And I
any
think
clue
it's-
who's on this advisory group?
No, and I think it's
question.
really unfortunate because I mean, whether Rubens is helpful or isn't helpful, Pilgrim and Crystal, we've got so much data on those. That's not to say that more data isn't always good, but, you know, if you're going to pick a couple of ponds, let's get a couple ponds that we don't have that much data on.
Yeah.
But I also think it's really a shame that all of that grant money of, what was it, 1.6 million, I mean, it was a boatload of money, and I think it's really too bad that rather than use the data that many towns have available on many of their ponds to put together an atlas, that they opted instead to start from scratch and start with all new data collection. But they didn't ask.
Yeah, and I know Mary and Carolyn both want to comment. I will say that Carolyn and I did meet with the Cape Cod Commission with George Meservey way back when they came.
February 8th.
Yeah, February, right, to introduce this initiative, but at no time during the discussions did they say, we are coming to sample your ponds. The impression I got is, you know, that, well, we said we would be happy to support their program and provide information based on all our experience, because Orleans, unlike many towns on the Cape, is way ahead on its freshwater pond monitoring. But at no time did they ever say they're just going to come and do it. So I was a little surprised when they did.